Qin He went to him last night, and after their conversation, Yi Futian understood Qin He's thoughts, and the two also reached a certain understanding. Qin He went to him last night, and after their conversation, Yi Futian understood Qin He's thoughts, and the two also reached a certain understanding. Everyone had speculated that Qin He might choose him, but neither he nor Qin He had such an idea. Therefore he did not step out today, nor did Qin He choose Yi Tianyu, but instead, they experienced a great battle just now, which was her intention. Course? Yi Tianyu murmured and said, I never coerced anyone. It was Brahma's pure heaven who extended the invitation to this feast, and it was Brahma's pure heaven that informed us Od Qin He's intention to choose a companion in cultivation. So I came from the heavenly mandate realm and did all this. What is the meaning of this? As he finished speaking, he stepped forward and looked at Yi Futian. Since you didn't step out, you are not qualified to intervene in this matter. If Brahma's pure heaven wants to make an alliance with anyone, it's a decision that could be made directly. I don't think Qin He is qualified to decide for Brahma's pure heaven. Yi Futian looked at Xiantian goddess and said, I would humbly ask Xiantian goddess, what is the meaning of all this? For Qin He to pick a path companion meant that Qin He had the power to decide the alliance by marriage. But judging from all that had happened, he did not think Qin He had such a position in Brahma's pure heaven. Coupled with what he saw last night, there must be an ulterior motive for Brahma's pure heaven to do so, and it had nothing to do with Qin He. Qin He was just the one that Brahma's pure heaven decided to sacrifice for some yet unknown purpose. Xiantian goddess looked at Yi Futian, and instead of answering Yi Futian's question, she asked, Yi Futian, today Brahma's pure heaven is choosing a path companion for Qin He. Are you in, or are you out? Yi Futian gazed at the other and did not avoid the eyes of the Xiantian goddess. He looked very serious, and with a hint of indifference, he said, I do not deal in the sacrifice of another, and Qin He, she is also unwilling to make such a trade. Xiantian goddess looked into Yi Futian's eyes. Was he refusing? Everyone in Heavenly Mandate realm had thought that today Yi Futian would compete with the Crown Prince of Heavenly Mandate dynasty, Yi Tianyu. And because of Qin He's preference, Yi Futian was the most likely to win Qin He over as her chosen path companion. But no one would think that Yi Futian did not participate directly, and Qin He was even more resolute. Their attitude was clearly witnessed by everyone. Even though it concerned the institution of the Heavenly Mandate realm, they were still unwilling to go against their hearts and do something against their will. Qin He, especially, had even defied the order of her master, and had made a silent protest by fighting against Yi Tianyu, the Crown Prince of Heavenly Mandate dynasty, until she could fight no longer. At this moment, Qin He took a step forward, her face was still pale, with blood stains at the corners of her mouth. The step she took put her next to Yi Futian. The face of the peerless goddess was beautiful beyond compare, and the white-haired young man was full of spirit. In this instant, many witnessed an illusion. It was as if they were really a perfect pair. Moreover, everyone could see that they admired each other. Qin He had openly expressed her admiration for Yi Futian, and Yi Futian protecting Qin He did the same. But admiration aside, it did not represent feelings, nor was it entangled with selfish interests. That was not Yi Futian's intent, nor was it Qin He's. Especially for Qin He at this moment, she smiled and cast a glance at the white-haired young man beside her. Her admiration of Yi Futian came from her heart. He was so dazzling and outstanding. Everyone thought that Yi Tianyu, the Crown Prince of Heavenly Mandate dynasty, and Gu Donglu of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven were the two most talented geniuses and representatives of this generation. But in Qin He's eyes, everyone had underestimated Yi Futian. Even though he had demonstrated great talent, the world still underestimated him. She thought that in the future, Yi Futian would rule over all in the Heavenly Mandate heaven. Young Master Yi is right. All that Qin He has was given to her by her master. It can all also be taken back by her master. One came to Brahma's pure heaven to seek the way and see the way diminished at Brahma's pure heaven. There was no resentment or regret. It is just because of clan interest to arrange a marriage. This was not Qin He's idea. Qin He glanced at the Xiantian goddess. Her voice showed her determination. This was the path of her way, and she would guard it no matter the cost, even if it meant the destruction of her way. Her heart remained on its path. Many were silent upon hearing what Qin he had to say. The cultivators here were all cultivators of Saint Plane or higher. Even though in the heavenly mandate realm, cultivators of Saint Plane were plentiful, and were not considered to be at a high plane. Yet, it was a plane that had also undergone the test of the mindfulness of the path, and their hearts had experienced transformation. Therefore, they were all a little moved. There was a reason why Qin he was able to become the first maiden of Brahma's pure heaven. If she accepted the arrangement of Brahma's pure heaven and became path companions with the crown prince of heavenly mandate dynasty, she would still be the magnificent Qin he even when the two became a heavenly couple. But at this moment, Qin he, with a touch of sadness, seemed to be even more admirable and deserving of respect. In the quiet space, many people had a lot of thoughts of their own, but none of them were easy to express. Even Xiantian goddess was silent at the moment and did not speak. No one knew her thoughts, and no one knew the thoughts of Brahma's pure heaven. From the beginning until now, everyone was a little doubtful. They came here to see how the whole thing would turn out. Since Goddess Qin has already said so, then let it stop here. Although I am not a human cultivator, the matter of human marriage should not be forced. A voice interrupted the quiet space, and the one who spoke was the cultivator of the dragon gods, Long Chen. At this moment, under these circumstances, many people dared not speak, but Long Chen didn't care so much. The dragon gods of the demon realm was extremely powerful. Long Chen, as the purple blood divine dragon, had incredible talent. His status in the demon realm was comparable to that of Yi Tianyu in the world of human cultivation. Long Chen didn't care so much, so he spoke up. So, Brahma's pure heaven invited all the forces here with such great flair, tested the Xiantian matrix, entered the Xiantian pavilion, under the pretext that Qin he was to choose a companion. All the forces of the heavenly mandate realm came for this purpose, and this is how it ends? Yingzhou Mountain's demonic cultivators remarked, "What is all this? None of us could breach the matrix, so although we were not qualified to participate, if this is how things end, it really does look like a joke." The cultivators of the Purple Gold Rat clan had always reveled in chaos. They had always wanted the situation to be more chaotic. The Heavenly Mandate Dynasty is a supreme principality. Its crown prince is an excellent figure in his own right. He is not too concerned about it. If he wants to continue and push Goddess Qin further away, what good would it do? It would just sully the reputation of the two great powers. At this time, Gao Yuang 10,000 Divine Mountain also spoke up, seemingly to calm down the situation. Yi Tianyu had been standing above the void, surrounded by divine light, clad in the armor of a god. Of all the comments made, what was said by Gao Huang of the 10,000 Divine Mountain was actually the most realistic. Qin he behaved so resolutely that if he were to continue, the two peak forces of Brahma's pure heaven and heavenly mandate dynasty both pushing a peerless goddess into a desperate situation would definitely not be some glorious matter to boast of. But, was he the one who caused everything that happened to reach this point? Now Yi Tianyu, look like the bad guy. Yi Tianyu suddenly laughed, with a particularly sarcastic irony. What did all this have to do with him? The heavenly mandate dynasty and Yi Tianyu were both innocent. He came because of Brahma's pure heaven's invitation. He tried very hard to do what he could, but now he had become the one to be accused of doing something wrong. It was as if he was pressuring Qin he, like he wanted to destroy this beauty out of his own narrow-mindedness. How ironic. What a joke. The fault of Brahma's pure heaven seems to be my senior brother's fault. In the direction of Shangxiao Divine Palace, Yen Sui also spoke up, and his tone was laced with some sarcasm. Neither Yi Tianyu nor Qin he was wrong. They were both doing what they thought was the right thing to do, and they were insisting on their own way. All this chaos has been caused by Brahma's pure heaven. Brahma's pure heaven, aren't you going to say anything? Lin Yu also remarked, with some dissatisfaction in his tone. Shangxiao Divine Palace came to help Yi Tianyu to bring back the beauty as a contribution to Yi Tianyu's effort to revive the heavenly mandate dynasty. But now, what was this? There was nothing more that Xiantian goddess could say. All of this went beyond anything she could have anticipated. I, Tianyu, am a true and righteous man. I have no concerns over lacking a wife. Since Goddess Qin is not in favor of the union, I will not force it. Tianyu finally spoke his mind, causing everyone's heart to be slightly disquieted. Tianyu was willing to give up. He no longer pressing Qin He on the matter. Senior brother, the people from Shangxiao Divine Palace, such as Yen Sui, wanted to see Tianyu succeed. Many people admired Tianyu in their hearts. Above the Shangxiao Divine Palace, Tianyu was definitely the one and only. True and righteous men did not lack mates, but Brahma's pure heaven should not have contrived such a scheme. But even so, Tianyu would no longer continue to entangle himself in this matter. This was his attitude on the matter. Although he had let it go, Tianyu's eyes still fell on Qin He, or rather, fastened on Futian. In the past, at the celestial gate of vast heaven, you intervened in the dispute between the celestial gate of vast heaven and my heavenly mandate dynasty. Now, in Xiantian Pavilion at Brahma's pure heaven, why do you interfere with the matter between Brahma's pure heaven and me, since you did not participate yourself? Tianyu's eyes fell on Futian. His eyes were extremely sharp. As he took a step forward, the void shook, and the divine light was radiant, shining toward Futian's direction. Futian looked up at Tianyu, and the hearts of many trembled slightly. Tianyu had let Qin He go, and the whole affair stopped there. But Futian intervened and ruined his chance. That was not something Tianyu intended to let go. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1482, Battling Tianyu. Chapter 1482, Battling Tianyu. Goddess Qin is a good friend of mine, so this naturally has something to do with me. Futian looked at Tianyu and said. There was a sound of elephants chanting upon his body, which rang through heaven and earth. Above the Xiantian Pavilion, everyone felt as if hundreds of thousands of elephants were running by. In an instant, the horrifying storm of the great path swept out and collided in the void. The hearts of many felt chilled. Futian was facing Tianyu. Did he also want to battle him? Tianyu looked as if he was electrified, full of sharp edges. He said, "This is the Xiantian Pavilion of Brahma's pure heaven. I won't fight here." As he finished speaking, he gave another look at Futian and turned around to walk outside Xiantian Pavilion. Futian naturally understood what he meant. He stepped into the void and headed outside as well. Seeing the actions of the two, many above Xiantian Pavilion followed them at once, and a sublime atmosphere moved outward all of a sudden. It was quite spectacular. Soon, only very few people remained in Xiantian Pavilion. Qin He looked up over there but didn't move. Those from Brahma's pure heaven was still here. Goddess Xiantian looked at Qin He and then said to the others around her, "Take Qin He back to Brahma's pure heaven." Her voice was still calm, and no emotions could be detected from it. No one knew her thoughts. Even the disciples of Brahma's pure heaven could not tell. Yes. Several people walked toward Qin He. Qin He looked at Goddess Xiantian. Her eyes still expressed some confusion and a hint of loss. Goddess Xiantian looked at her and said, "Focus on cultivation in the future." When she was done, she walked outside. Qin He's beautiful eyes revealed a strange look. She was still puzzled and did not understand what Goddess Xiantian meant. Why ask her to focus on cultivation again? At this time, countless people beneath the Xiantian Pavilion felt as if their hearts had been shaken. They looked up above the void and felt an inner shock. Could it be that Tianyu, the crown prince of the heavenly mandate dynasty, and Futian were finally colliding? Previously, everyone in the heavenly mandate realm thought that this time, when Qin He was selecting a path companion, it would be a game between the two of them. But no one thought it would be in the form of fighting. After all, the cultivation between the two was completely different. Even though Futian was one in a million, he was still just an unblemished saint. The crown prince Tianyu had already proven to be in the nirvana plane, and may even be the strongest person under Renhuang of the heavenly mandate realm. At their level, this realm was extremely difficult to cross. How could they fight then? 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor, someone said when they felt the surging momentum from Futian. The two figures walked above the sky, leaving Futian Pavilion, and came to the area outside. There seemed to be countless illusions of the divine elephants above the sky. The breath upon Futian was already comparable to that of the Nirvana plane. With the help of the 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor, Futian's strength is indeed comparable to that of the Nirvana plane. This makes them equal when fighting one another, many people observed and remarked. The bones of the ancestors of the divine elephants had extremely potent power. After Futian cultivated with the divine elephants and learned of this unparalleled skill, he was able to resonate with the 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor and burst into supreme power. Tianyu, likewise, also continued in the peak form as when he fought with Qin He. The life spirit of the divine picture of the heavenly mandate bloomed, the divine light of the great path continuing to converge toward his body. This made him the incarnation of the divine body of the great path, the one and only. The scene above the sky was utterly shocking. Tianyu, known as the natural supremacy of the heavenly mandate dynasty, was destined to be extraordinary. He was shouldering the mission of reviving the heavenly mandate dynasty. Then there was Futian, who had called himself the divine body of the heavenly path. What a battle these two men would have! The cultivators of those top principalities landed in different directions, but all were gazing at the battlefield, especially the cultivators of the Purple Gold Rat clan and Zhan Yuan. They were highly interested in this battle. Today, Tianyu failed to win the heart of Qin He and make an alliance through marriage with Brahma's pure heaven, but the chasm between Futian and celestial gate of vast heaven had also deepened. This time, perhaps neither Tianyu nor the heavenly mandate dynasty would not let the matter go. A violent, murderous force swept through the sky and the earth. Above the void, Tianyu was clad in the divine armor of a god. His golden pupils were extremely sharp. His finger pressed toward the void, and a frightening Qianqiu brush appeared above the void, stabbing directly down from the sky. It broke through the air instantly as thousands of murderous air streams turned into the divine light of the great path, aiming straight at Futian. There was a sharp howling sound in the void, pricking everyone's eardrum. Even cultivators standing in the distance could feel that strong will of murder. If there were a chance, perhaps Tianyu would kill Futian. Futian raised his hand and blasted the great path to destroy everything, shattering the void. With Futian's body as the center, a terrible scene appeared around him as thousands of divine elephants rushing past, stomping across the sky and smashing those killing streams. There was a terrible storm of the great path on the sky, and the two of them stunned everyone with just the initial exchange. The 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor. Tianyu could naturally feel the powerful momentum emitting from Futian's body, which was faintly laced with the might of the imperial power of sovereign. The countless divine elephants that had trampled through the void contained the will of the demon emperor. The divine picture of heavenly mandate roared in the void, gathering the great path of heaven and earth. The world was enveloped by a picture, as the divine picture of the heavenly mandate was madly expanding, covering the sun and the sky and shrouding the battlefield where he and Futian were. In a moment, an infinite number of murderous air currents fell from the sky, and many Qianqiu brushes appeared. In Tianyu's palm, a divine brush seemed to have appeared. It would be able to cut through the great path. He, who was clad in the divine armor, appeared to be the descendant of the gods. In his hand, he held the pen and smashed it down from the sky. Under the attack of thousands of Qianqiu brushes, the entire sky seemed to be buried in the slaughter. Futian's image became extraordinarily small in comparison. Futian looked up at the countless divine brushes that descended from the sky, each of which contained the slaying power of the great path. It roared through the sky and slashed to his side. Futian's face was somber, and the deed of thorough comprehension exploded. As the great path unified, an idol king appeared upon his body, a divine elephant of golden armor. With the sound of the elephant trumpet, it rocked heaven and shook the earth. It was as if everything was about to collapse. The hearts of many beat rapidly, and they were all in extreme shock. How strong! Everyone looked at the battlefield, especially those who were on the Futian pavilion before. They found that this battle was even more violent than the one between Yi Tianyu and Qin He, and the initial exchange of the two was enough to stun everyone. Yi Futian's body, which was enveloped with the divine elephant of golden armor, had now transformed into the divine elephant emperor. Tens of thousands of elephants trampled towards the sky, colliding with qianqiu brushes. There were even an infinite number of killing currents and qianqiu brushes that landed on the immense torso of the divine elephant of the golden armor, unable to shake it in the slightest. Spectacular! The people in the Brahma Sky city below watched this violent battle with trembling excitement. The scene in front of them was simply too sensational. The idol king continued forward toward Yi Tianyu. Obviously, Yi Futian did not intend to take a defensive position at all but instead took the initiative to attack preemptively to Yi Tianyu, the crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. Bang! The method of divine elephant stomping the sky bloomed, crushing the void and trampling the great path. The divine elephant of golden armor moved forward. Its seemingly awkward body arrived in front of Yi Tianyu in an instant. I heard that you were born to be supreme, but your true strength is unknown, Yi Futian said loudly, dominant and overbearing. With his palms raised, he launched a punch at Yi Tianyu, and the void seemed to be shattered and pulverized. Between him and Yi Tianyu, everything was exploded and shattered. Yi Tianyu also truly felt Yi Futian's aggressive and dominant power. He stepped forward, and the giant qianqiu brush also pierced ahead. Infinite murderous air currents converged into a storm of slaughter that continued to collide with the might of that and that strike. The two forces converged, and the world was overshadowed. Yi Futian continued to take a step forward. The immense divine elephants once again trampled the sky, and the arm once again penetrated heaven and earth. As this strike was thrown, infinite shadows of the punch appeared, and each blow was able to shatter the sky. The power of the divine elephant void-splitting fist could crush an entire space. The divine picture of heavenly mandate released bright dazzling divine light, covering Yi Tianyu. With his body as the center, a storm of the great path started to rise. The heavenly mandate divine book bloomed, and hundreds of thousands of the slaughtering forces seemed to be swallowed up by the divine picture of the great path. Everything could be wiped out at any time. He stared at Yi Futian. His eyes were still proud. Divine art of heavenly mandate? Yi Futian looked down at him. His body was glowing with celestial light. With the celestial soul gathering, the celestial soul attraction was released. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Behind Yi Futian, in addition to the tens of thousands of divine elephants galloping, there was a celestial soul that also manifested, emitting extremely and radiant celestial light. Behind Yi Futian, in addition to the tens of thousands of divine elephants galloping, there was a celestial soul that also manifested, emitting extremely and radiant celestial light. This scene made Yi Futian's temperament even more remarkable. Fae and demon united as one, showing a tantalizing demonic elegance. However, Yi Tianyu was not to be surpassed. The divine picture of heavenly mandate was bright and shrouded his body. The divine light of the great path flowed toward his body and put the armor of a god on him. This armor of a god actually took the shape of a gigantic demon. It transformed into the divine bird Kunpeng battle suit. At this moment, there seemed to be a sacred divine beast of Kunpeng that formed a battle armor. Its gorgeous and divine feathers opened, covering the sun in the sky, and the divine light split through the sky. Then a supreme collision. The hearts of many cultivators beat wildly. They did not expect that the battle between Yi Futian and Yi Tianyu could be so brilliant, or that Yi Futian, who had urged the 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor, was just like Gu Donglu before. He was outstanding within the realm, comparable to that of Nirvana, as he battled Yi Tianyu with an indomitable stance. Above the sky, the battle will cover the heavens. Yi Futian's pupils were demonic and terrifying, and he sensed the spiritual souls of Yi Tianyu. He saw that Yi Tianyu's spiritual soul had put on the divine armor of Kunpeng. It was radiant beyond imagination. Clearly, The divine method of the heavenly realm could also be used on the spiritual soul as a truly top-notch method. Yi Tianyu waving both wings, and caused a slaughtering storm above the sky. There were countless divine feathers of the Kunpeng turning into golden slaughtering spears upon the divine armor of Kunpeng, which instantly shot through the void and aimed toward Yi Futian. Bang bang bang! The bodies of galloping giant divine elephants were directly penetrated and shattered. Yi Futian, who was possessed by the golden divine elephant, kept walking forward. When he stepped out, the sky shook violently. It seemed it would collapse in total destruction. At the same time, a terrifying might of suppression descended. It seemed to freeze the space. Many slaughtering spears above the sky became sluggish. Their power had greatly weakened. But Yi Tianyu didn't stop giving up. The wings of the Kunpeng opened up, and the divine wings that sheltered the sky continued flapping. The sky was blowing a storm of the great path, but it was the force of the wind that caused a hurricane in the Brahma Sky City. The hurricane brought the golden slaughtering spears to descend at the same time in Yi Futian's direction. Such force, even for troops in the hundreds and thousands, would be wiped out immediately. But Yi Futian did not stop. He was still walking in the storm, and each step was earth-shattering. When the power of the 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor was released, the power of the ultimate skills of the divine elephants also surged, resonating together. The galloping divine elephants had unparalleled power. His body rushed toward the center of the storm, and as a punch was thrown, the great path collapsed, opening up a great path of space. The golden divine elephants walked in this great path of space, crossing the void with a single step, and came in front of Yi Tianyu. The divine elephant of golden armor and Kunpeng of the divine armor faced each other, and the people in the sky below looked up at the center of the storm. This was no longer a confrontation between Yi Futian and Yi Tianyu. It was more like a confrontation between divine beasts. Yi Futian raised his fist and blasted it forward without any flourishing movements. The bones of the divine elephant emperor inside his body burst out into divine glory and merged into the will of his fist. When this punch was thrown, Yi Tianyu, though clad with the divine armor of Kunpeng that was protecting his spiritual soul, still felt the shock of the spiritual soul. Yi Futian's attack contained a terrible power that was able to penetrate anything. Divine elephant void-splitting fist, shattering the void. At the same time, Yi Tianyu's divine method bloomed, and a giant illusion of Kunpeng appeared in the sky, grabbing at the giant divine elephant that appeared. They collided above the sky. Rumble. The sound of a horrible collision hurt the eardrums of the crowd. Looking up, the giant beasts collided, and the sky and earth broke apart. Moreover, this seemed to be just the beginning. Yi Futian was still pressing forward while attacking, launching punch after punch. He was facing Yi Tianyu, colliding with the great path. This white-haired young man had found no equal. With Yi Futian attacking like this, how could Yi Tianyu retreat? The attacks of the Kunpeng's feathers could pierce the void. The crowd saw continuous and violent collisions above the sky, and neither warrior showed any intention of stopping. As the collision continued, everyone was shocked to discover that Yi Futian's attacks seemed to be more violent and fierce. In contrast, Yi Tianyu seemed to have suffered some interference, as his power was weakening. As a result, it felt as if Yi Futian had taken the initiative to engage in a violent attack while Yi Tianyu was merely defending himself. This, once, in the battle between Gu Donglu and Yi Tianyu had not been suppressed and always took the initiative. Now, in his fight with Yi Futian, it actually felt that he was somewhat passive. What a shock this was. Could it be the might of the bones of the divine elephant emperor? Even so, Yi Futian's raw strength was still terribly powerful. Naturally, they did not understand why Yi Tianyu's offensive would be increased. Each of Yi Futian's dominant methods contained a powerful force to suppress and collapse. They directly blasted onto the spiritual soul through Yi Tianyu's body. Although the spiritual soul was clad with the will of war, under the continuous violent attacks, it was still extremely uncomfortable. Finally, with a loud bang, Yi Tianyu's body was knocked back. He could have continued to fight, but he did not. He chose to retreat instead. This step back was a little embarrassing for him. The crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty retreated in battle with Yi Futian. But he had to take this step back, or he would still be suppressed. He needed to retreat so he could advance. However, Yi Tianyu's retreat, as he had thought, shocked countless people beneath the sky. Yi Tianyu retreated during the confrontation with Yi Futian. Could it be that Yi Futian is stronger than the crown prince of Heavenly Mandate dynasty in Gudonglu? Some murmured, feeling the whole thing to be surreal. Even though Yi Futian's power was great, perhaps his talent could be ranked in the top 5 of Heavenly Mandate. However, nobody had ever thought that he could be stronger than Yi Tianyu. It should be the mighty power of the divine elephant emperor of 10 directions. After all, it was the ancestor of the divine elephants, the royal mount of the demon emperor, in existence that shocked all generations alike. Someone responded. Yi Tianyu just took a step back. He needed to pull away to use a stronger method. Someone looked up into the sky with an extremely sharp expression. Sure enough, Yi Tianyu's aura had become perceivably more terrible. The divine picture of Heavenly Mandate engulfed the great path of heaven and earth. Countless divine lights of the great path seeped into Yi Tianyu's body. The divine picture also integrated into the body, wrapping it and turning it into a part of the divine armor. With dazzling divine light falling down, his long hair that was behind him also turned golden, full of sharp breath. His robe fluttered as he became a god of war, which was the ultimate evolution of the divine art of Heavenly Mandate, the divine advent. Yi Tianyu wanted to morph into a celestial divinity. However, just as he devoured the divine light of the great path, the sound of elephant trumpeting was heard, and an incomparable figure appeared above the sky. Yi Futian's silver hair danced with the wind, possessed by the divine elephant, and a long staff appeared in his hand. This long staff seemed to have been formed by the celestial way, but it was shining with a brilliant golden light. What was even more terrifying was the power contained in the long staff. Stepping onto the sky, Yi Futian glanced at Yi Tianyu below and did not give him any time to gather his divine power. He just unleashed a strike with the staff. Shadows of the staff appeared and filled the sky. Among the many shadows of staff, there were also galloping divine elephants. The staff techniques were 9 strikes in the heaven, but powered by the immense strength of the divine elephants and incorporating the will of the elephant splitting the sky into it. Its strength could only be imagined. Yi Tianyu raised his head to sweep a glance over the void. His rage surged to his crown, and his golden hair stood on end like spears. He shot out as if he were one of the gods. He raised his hand to point toward the void. His godlike figure was dazzling. As his finger pointed to the sky, moving his way forward, he broke through the great path, splitting through the sky. Countless shadows of the staff were now collapsing here. He wanted to open up an ancient path of slaughter, aiming at Yi Futian. Yi Tianyu had extreme killing will in his eyes. With a loud bang, Yi Tianyu had caused the divine might of the great path to collide with the long staff. However, he did not retreat, which showed just how terrible Yi Tianyu was in the state of godly advent. The storm of great path ravaged, and Yi Futian stepped down, following up with another strike of the long staff with even greater power. Behind Yi Tianyu, the divine wings of Kunpeng appeared. They lifted up, cutting through the void to shatter the shadows of the staff. Its divine power was incomparable. In the area outside of Shentian Pavilion, countless people in the Brahma Sky City looked up at the sky, their eyes not blinking. They stared at the battlefield, watching this terrifying battle that could make the gods and ghosts weep. The sound of collisions blasted out again and again. Each time felt as if there was a collision in their heart, making them feel that their bodies were vibrating and their blood boiling. The staff technique is still getting stronger. Those below watched as the staff blast out endlessly, trembling. Even if Yi Tianyu had the body of a god, it seemed that it was reaching the limit. When the 6th staff strike blasted out, the supreme power blasted open the void. Yi Tianyu groaned as his body fell from the void. His face was pale, and his spiritual soul trembled. The divine elephant descended from the sky, trampling the void, and struck with the staff again. This strike unified hundreds and thousands of the staff shadows into one. Even though it was only one strike, it seemed to be one with the great path. It flew toward Yi Tianyu. However, Yi Tianyu, who looked like a god from heaven, dared not intercept this attack at this moment. At this time, he was comparable to the body of the god, but still summoned the body of Kunpeng to attack. The shadow of the staff fell, the Kunpeng was shattered, and the divine armor was torn apart. A violent power penetrated the defense and exploded upon Yi Tianyu. His body was knocked to the ground from the sky, and all the buildings were pulverized. Countless people backed away as cracks appeared underneath their feet. Yi Tianyu has been suppressed. The eyes of many were dull. They couldn't believe what they had seen. In the heavenly mandate realm, was there someone who could suppress Yi Tianyu? As the battle of the celestial gate of vast heaven, even Gu Donglu had been unable to achieve it. Yi Futian leveraged the power of divine elephant emperor of 10 directions to suppress the crown prince of the heavenly mandate dynasty and knocked him to the ground. One could only imagine how strong of an impression this scene had left on people. When the dust cleared, everyone looked at the ground. Yi Tianyu, who was bathed in golden rays, stood in the ruins. The ground was already shattered. Above the sky, a peerless figure stood there, extremely dazzling. He was the white-haired talent who once again shocked the heavenly mandate realm. In the fight for the great path of heavenly mandate, who could be invincible? Who could be matchless and rule the times? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. And all the cultivators of the celestial gate of vast heaven looked at Yi Futian, and there was some disturbance in their hearts. Gu Donglu was taken back to the Fei clan and was nurtured as its future leader. Although the two major clans shared the same goal and agreed on the same point, to say that everyone was the same as the lord of the Jiang clan without any thoughts regarding their personal interest would be impossible. And all the cultivators of the celestial gate of vast heaven looked at Yi Futian, and there was some disturbance in their hearts. Gu Donglu was taken back to the Fei clan and was nurtured as its future leader. Although the two major clans shared the same goal and agreed on the same point, to say that everyone was the same as the lord of the Jiang clan without any thoughts regarding their personal interest would be impossible. If Gu Donglio's performance were disappointing, then Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven would not wager everything on him. Last time, Gu Donglu and Yi Tianzhong ended up in a draw. It was still something people of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven found comforting. After all, there was still a lot of room for improvement for Gu Donglu. But they did not expect that today, Gu Donglio's junior brother, Yi Futian, would also be someone who could rule an era. Unexpectedly, he had suppressed Yi Tianyu, the crown prince of the heavenly mandate realm. What kind of characters would these two brothers be in a few more years? What kind of landscape would be in the future for the heavenly mandate realm? Moreover, there seemed to be another figure named Yu Sheng, who had been cultivating with the dragon gods. Rumor had it that Yu Sheng had been accepted as a disciple by the dragon gods and had been cultivating with its top characters. Those of the heavenly mandate dynasty were also shaken to the core, and their eyes were extremely sharp, including those from Shangxiao Divine Palace. Their senior brother had actually been defeated, blasted to the ground. Even if the other party had the help of a magical divine item, his own strength was also incredible. Its attack could be considered terrifying. It seemed that one could not afford to underestimate top figures in the supreme realm. Undoubtedly, Yi Futian belonged amongst top genius talents. There were few people who could rival Yi Tianyu. All the cultivators felt the disturbance in their hearts, and this gave rise to all kinds of thoughts. Goddess Xiantian and the cultivators of Brahma's pure heaven were also watching the battle, staring at Yi Futian. At this moment, a slight sound was heard, and from the broken ground below, Yi Tianyu emerged. The divine light on his body was still bright and dazzling, which moved many people. Even such an attack could not hurt him seriously, and Yi Tianyu, in the state of godly advent, possessed the body of celestial divinity. He was indeed fearsome. Yi Futian looked down at Yi Tianyu, a well-known figure of the Nirvana plane and the most outstanding descendant of the peak Renhuang existence, who would one day be the emperor of the heavenly mandate dynasty. Yi Tianyu, who was hailed as a natural-born supreme, was indeed very strong. Yi Futian's attack was already at the peak of Nirvana plane, But even so, it had only slightly injured Yi Tianyu. Although he managed to suppress the other, he was unable to seriously damage Yi Tianyu. Yi Tianyu looked up and stared at Yi Futian in the void. He was expressionless, and there seemed to be no disturbance on his face. No one knew what he was thinking or how he felt at the moment. The void became a bit oppressed. Yi Tianyu's eyes never left Yi Futian, and then he stretched out his palms. In an instant, divine light dazzled. A divine pagoda appeared in front of Yi Tianyu, continuously expanding and enlarging in the void. Renhuang implement. Everyone's eyes sharpened. Yi Tianyu had now also released a Renhuang implement. Furthermore, the might of this particular Renhuang implement was extremely aggressive, as it continued flying toward the sky, turning into an immense and endless pagoda. The infinite divine light of the great path flooded into it, and the light of the divine pagoda headed toward Yi Futian. Yi Futian looked up at the pagoda and stepped into the void. The divine elephant roared and headed toward the pagoda. However, under the glory of the divine pagoda, every single one of the divine elephants was shattered into nothingness. The divine light permeated the sky, turning into a storm of destruction and murder. Boom! Yi Futian's celestial soul power was faintly restricted. This divine pagoda contained the power to suppress celestial soul, which was the prowess of Renhuang. There was a loud roar inside of Yi Futian, and the power of the 10,000 bones of the divine elephant emperor surged to the extreme. An overpowering divine elephant appeared and stepped into the sky. The long staff in his hand swung toward the divine pagoda. Yi Tianyu's body flickered and appeared on top of the divine pagoda. His body became large and turned into a true celestial divinity. He held the giant divine pagoda in his hand and hurled it below. Illusions of the divine pagoda slammed down. It was as if they could destroy demons and saints. Under the shining glory of the divine pagoda, Yi Tianyu turned into the ancient emperor. It was like the ancient emperor of the heavenly mandate dynasty had descended into the world, his towering figure releasing the mighty power of the great path. This implement. The cultivators of the celestial gate of vast heaven looked grave. The might of Renhuang from this implement was extremely horrifying. Even if Yi Tianyu's current state could not release all its power, just a part of its might would be enough to put the fear into everyone's heart. Yi Tianyu obtained this thing from the ancestral lands. The implement left by an ancestor, and its power was far more than what was being shown. Since Yi Futian fought against him using the bones of the mount of the demon emperor, the divine elephant emperor of 10 directions, then he would have to suppress him with the implement of his ancestors. Boom! There was a sound of a shocking collision above the sky. It was extremely horrific, and Yi Futian's staff technique was suppressed by it. The lights of divine pagoda rushed toward his body. It was like shadows of the divine pagoda directly ran through his body, shrouding that immense and boundless divine elephant, and his celestial soul was, likewise, suppressed. What a powerful implement! The cultivators around were all trembling. It seemed that Yi Tianyu was angered by being overwhelmed by Yi Futian and had now resorted to a super powerful implement, determined to reverse the tides and wash away his shame. The light of the pagoda seemed to be manifold, covering Yi Futian's body. Each fold of the divine light was extraordinarily terrifying and seemed to want to refine Yi Futian's body. The divine elephant of golden armor walked on the sky, and Yi Futian was still resisting. His pupils turned toward the sky, and they were extremely fierce. They were both to fight again. Go! Yi Tianyu raised his hand and waved. Immediately, the towering divine pagoda traveled downward and landed on the sky above Yi Futian. Rays of the divine light of the pagoda descended frantically, wanting to bound and imprison Yi Futian within. Two terrible forces met and collided in the void, but Yi Futian was under terrible pressure and was likely to be suppressed. Yi Tianyu, you are an entire realm higher than your opponent, and yet after you were defeated, you now have to resort to such a powerful implement? Is this the way of the natural-born supreme of heavenly mandate dynasty? Hua Qingyun said sarcastically. At the level of Saint Plain, an entire realm was a vast difference in power, and the differences in strength could be 10 times or more, so it could only be imagined how difficult the gap was to overcome. Under such circumstances as the peak existence of the naturally born supreme, fighting with Renhuang implement, how could the fight be fair or just? It was important to note that Yi Tianyu was also the existence of the peak. Yi Tianyu ignored Hua Qingyun, as divine light rained from his body and fell upon the divine pagoda. It continued its slaughter on Yi Futian. In those indifferent and profound eyes, there was the intention to kill. Such an unfair battle. That's enough. Cultivators of the celestial gate of vast heaven spoke up. The might of Renhuang was bloomed and released. However, almost at the same time, from the direction of the heavenly mandate dynasty, there was also infinite might of Renhuang that bloomed. In an instant, this space was shrouded in the power of Renhuang. It seemed that as long as the Renhuang of celestial gate of vast heaven intend to make a move, then the Renhuang of heavenly mandate dynasty would not stand idly by. Many cultivators from the heavenly mandate dynasty emit thoughts of murder. Between the vast space of heaven and earth, many observing cultivators remarked to themselves. Prior to this, Yi Futian had obstructed the alliance by marriage between Yi Tianyu and Qin He. He now had revealed his superior talent. At this moment, he had already elicited the intent to kill from the cultivators from the heavenly mandate dynasty. Above the firmament, the glory of the divine pagoda was getting more and more terrible. The glory of the divine elephant on Yi Futian's body was becoming dimmer as a terrible force continued to rush into his body, turning his face pale. This pagoda of the sky could suppress celestial soul attraction. At this moment, a figure walked through the void, and many showed a strange look when they beheld this figure. However, the people from the heavenly mandate dynasty did not stop him. It was just someone from the same plane. Who could compete with Yi Tianyu right now? Anyone who wanted to get involved would be easily suppressed. The man continued moving forward and was walking toward the pagoda. When everyone saw this, they all showed a strange look. Was this man seeking death? Even the cultivators of the heavenly mandate dynasty had a look of jeer on their faces. What a complete lack of self-awareness. The man who walked out was Qi Xiangang, who now had the ancient characters of the Great Path appearing on his body. The power of the deed of thorough comprehension bloomed. The words that indicated heaven and earth were on the top and bottom, respectively. A divine picture of the Great Path appeared around him, and Qi Xiangang walked out from under the glory of the divine pagoda, blocking Yi Futian from the divine pagoda. Is he mad? The hearts of many trembled darkly, and the people from celestial gate of vast heaven showed a strange color. As far as they knew, this man was Yi Futian's master. His temperament was extraordinary, showing he was not someone who did this without reason. But the glory of the divine pagoda was mighty. For someone in the Saint Plane attempt to compete with his own body of flesh and blood, it was undoubtedly pure foolishness. Many people watched as Qi Xianzhang was suppressed by the glory of the divine pagoda. However, as Qi Xiangang stepped into it, the glorious rays of the divine pagoda were cut off. They descended upon his body instead and did not continue to bombard Yi Futian, apparently isolated by his body. The crowd found out, much to their shock, that Qi Xiangang was standing inside. The pattern of the Great Path shrouded his whole body, and the power that was blasted down by the divine pagoda to kill seemed to turn into nothingness, unable to destroy him. The scene in front of their eyes stunned many people. How was this possible? Yi Tianyu's strength was already at the peak of the nirvana plane. His combat power was top-notch, not to mention that he had the aid of the Renhuang implement. Someone from the Saint Plane, no matter how strong, would only face the fate of being obliterated under these circumstances. But Qi Xiangang was actually dissolving his attacks. Rays of sacred light were released from Qi Xiangang, which caused confused looks to appear on the faces of many Renhuang cultivators. Renhuang will. Their pupils contracted slightly. From Qi Shuanggang's body, they felt the will that belonged to Renhuang. It definitely did not belong to Saint Plane, but only to Renhuang. This man who had already entered Renhuang with 1 foot could break free of the Great Path at any time and level up his realm. Master, Yi Futian called out. The divine light of the Great Path upon Qi Shuanggang's body shot upward and shrouded the divine pagoda within. Suddenly the oppressive force on Yi Futian's body disappeared completely. He walked across the void and past his master Qi Xiangang and the divine pagoda. With a strike of the staff, he slammed down. The sky changed color, and the look on Yi Tianyu's face, who was controlling the divine pagoda, suddenly changed. In haste, he sent out a great palm print, which was crushed and pulverized. Yi Futian's staff fell directly on him, this time much more violent than the blow previously. The blast caused Yi Tianyu to spit out blood. He was sent flying, and even the sound of bones breaking could be heard. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Seeing this transpire, the hearts of many skipped a beat. Yi Tianyu's body flew back and his mouth was bleeding. Seeing this transpire, the hearts of many skipped a beat. Yi Tianyu's body flew back and his mouth was bleeding. The staff attack made many people feel a crawling sensation on their scalps. If it were them, that strike would probably be enough to end them. Yi Tianyu was beat, once again, and the injury was not minor. Who was that? Someone wondered silently, glancing at Qi Xiangang. He had stepped directly under the divine pagoda as someone in the Saint Plane, blocked Yi Futian from the attack of the divine pagoda, and even bound the pagoda there. Furthermore, he already exuded a trace of Renhuang will, with one foot firmly planted on the other side. It was not that he was just a half-step away from Renhuang, but that he could possibly enter the Renhuang plane level at any moment. Many people in Violet Heavenly Palace looked rather sharp. Some of them recognized Qi Xiangang, Yi Futian's master, who had shown his strength in the celestial demon city in the old days. His power was mighty. His realm was unexpectedly profound. Tianyu, the crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, probably had never suffered such humiliation before. This time, he was invited by Brahma's pure heaven, was prepared to marry the first virgin, Qin He, but Qin He would rather fight to the death with him than stay with him, which made him appear unnecessarily aggressive. Afterward, Yi Futian stepped forward to fight him, and this was the conclusion. In Brahma Sky City, the crown prince of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty had suffered a humiliation that he had never experienced before. This should be the first time, but there was a flash of cold light from Zhang Yuan's eyes. He was the supreme body of the great path from the Violet Heavenly Palace. This was getting more interesting. The hatred between Yi Tianyu and Yi Futian was getting deeper, which would naturally be to the benefit of the Violet Heavenly Palace. After all, the Violet Heavenly Palace and the Heavenly Mandate dynasty had a common enemy. As he had thought, a strong and overbearing might bloomed. The cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, upon seeing Yi Tianyu being injured, finally made their move. The mighty authority of Renhuang shrouded the sky. A Renhuang pointer struck at Qi Xiangang and Yi Futian, penetrating heaven and earth. Those Renhuang of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven had also been prepared for this moment. Radiant celestial light was shining, and a figure crossed the void and descended. A celestial sword slashed out at the same time, colliding with the destructive Renhuang power. A violent storm blew between heaven and the earth. Its fierce pressure of might slammed on the bodies of both Yi Futian and Qi Xiangang, and they were both slammed back. The divine pagoda flew back in an instant and headed toward Yi Tianyu, who put it away. Boom, boom, boom. Bursts of might of Renhuang erupted at the same time, and as it swept through the sky, the people below really felt the suffocating divine might of the great path. They tensed and their breath quickened. Was a major battle of Renhuang about to erupt? At this time, in Brahma Sky City, countless people looked up to the sky, and above Shen Pavilion, there was a palpable pressure of Renhuang might. Yi Futian and Qi Xiangang both retreated into the camp of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. Under these circumstances, they no longer could continue in the battle. Even though Qi Xiangang was not far from the Renhuang realm, the realm of those others was simply way too high. Even if he had already entered the Renhuang realm, it would still be difficult for him to participate. Yi Tianyu and the top figures of the Violet Heavenly Palace were here, and then there were the cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, who followed them. Of course, Jiang Taichu and Hua Qingyun were also here, and the guardians of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven were no weaklings either. Therefore, the pressure of might that erupted above the sky was horrific. So, Renhuang can intervene after being defeated? A voice was heard, and it was the cultivator of divine elephants. In today's battle, Yi Futian had shown the cultivators of the divine elephants that even human cultivators could fully exercise the inherited techniques of the divine elephants so well. He was even better and stronger than their top geniuses. Thus, it was no wonder the divine elephant emperor had told them to guard Yi Futian well. It seemed that, previously, when Yi Futian had returned with the divine elephants, the divine elephant emperor had already realized that Yi Futian had unlimited potential. This battle was enough to prove that he could exist side by side with the likes of Gu Donglu and Yi Tianyu, and that he was no less worthy than the crown prince of the heavenly mandate realm. Previously he had already had several brilliant battles, but the battle today would exemplify his record, which would soon be spread throughout the heavenly mandate realm. Today, Yi Futian interrupted the marriage between the heavenly mandate dynasty and Brahma's pure heaven Yi Futian. The divine elephants would be wise not to interfere, the cultivator of the heavenly mandate dynasty said. His voice rang through the void. Everyone in Brahma Sky City could hear him clearly. If it were not for the sake of being unwilling to involve divine elephants in this dispute with the heavenly mandate realm, perhaps the heavenly mandate dynasty would have already attacked Yi Futian a long time ago. Renhuang are not allowed to participate in friendly contests of the Saint Plane. This is a rule from the human world of cultivation. Now that your crown prince was defeated, you decided to mobilize your Renhuang to battle, and you intend to prevent me from intervening. The voice of the cultivator of the divine elephants was overbearing. As he walked, the sky shook, making roaring and booming sounds that were terrifying. Even though he said this, everyone knew that the fighting had already gone far beyond the scope of a friendly contest. Both Yi Futian and Yi Tianyu had already exerted their true strength. It's best that the forces of the demon realm not interfere in the matters of the human world of cultivation. The Renhuang from Heavenly Mandate Dynasty continued. Don't forget, the Heavenly Mandate realm demarcates the human world of cultivation and that of the demon realm. You are all here as guests and we won't pursue the matter, but don't you meddle in it. That's right, the divine elephants shouldn't forget where they are. The cultivators from the Violet Heavenly Palace also piped in. They were the allies of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. The cultivators of the divine elephants snorted coldly and continued forward. The void shook violently, and many of those in Brahma Sky City, whose cultivation was not as strong, groaned as their faces paled. If that random stomp were to land on them, its invisible might was enough to suppress them. The people of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty are right. We are from the demon realm, so why should we participate in human disputes? At this time, a voice was heard. The cultivator who spoke was a figure of demon emperor from the purple gold rat clan. They always thrived in chaotic times. The rise of the purple gold rat clan was due to the chaotic environment. Now, if things would get more chaotic, it would undoubtedly be another opportunity. He clearly understood that the divine elephants chose this moment to interfere. They passed their special techniques on to Yi Futian in an attempt to place a bet in the world of human cultivation. This way, they could have a say in the changing future of the Heavenly Mandate realm. However, this was clearly something the Purple Gold Rat clan did not wish to see. Why are you rats everywhere? The cultivator of the divine elephant swept a glance over them, his eyes of the elephant emperor domineering and full of contempt. The divine elephants had always had a lofty position within the demon realm with noble blood to boot. The era of the divine elephant emperor of 10 directions was the golden age when they were the top demon clan in the demon realm. The Purple Gold Rat clan was nowhere on their radar. This was also why the Purple Gold Rat clan was so sensitive. In the demon realm, many noble demon clans despised them. Even though they had true strength, respect, and recognition still eluded them. The glory of purple gold glittered and bloomed. The body of the cultivator from Purple Gold Rat clan was radiant all over. As he moved forward, a demon emperor whispered coldly, "Even us rats would like to experience the power of the divine elephants." As soon as he said that, he raised his hand and blasted out his attack. Above the sky, an immense and boundless purple gold divine rat appeared, covering the sky and biting at the demon emperor of the divine elephant below. The demon emperor of the divine elephant frowned. This rat actually dared to engage him. But he instantly understood the intention of the other party. They wanted to deliberately keep them occupied so that the cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty could do what they wanted. Stepped into the void, an immense giant divine elephant manifested, and the great battle of demon emperors had the potential to split heaven and earth. At this time, the Renhuang existence of the Heavenly Mandate realm was moving forward in an arc. In an instant, the divine light of the Heavenly Mandate shrouded the sky, shrouding the vast, endless void within, completely locking down this space. They intended to keep Yi Futian here for the kill. Protect him. The cultivators from the celestial gate of vast heaven frowned. These Renhuang of Heavenly Mandate dynasty were really determined. It was much easier to kill lesser characters under their protection than to defeat all of them. Furthermore, they had arranged this layer of the Heavenly Mandate divine light of boundary, delaying them to get to Etianyu on the outside for a while. Be careful, someone said to Yi Futian. This was intended to take Yi Futian's life. The will to murder had taken hold of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, and now, they wanted to execute Yi Futian here. Gu Donglu was already a volatile factor, so it was best to get rid of Yi Futian. Otherwise, two peerless characters were sure to be a big problem in the future. The slaughtering divine light drowned out the void and shot directly toward Yi Futian. Renhuang of the celestial gate of vast heaven stepped out successively and locked down where Yi Futian was. The celestial light, bright and radiant, cast a celestial matrix. However, at this time, there was a character of divine general from the other side, who raised his hand and pierced through the void, shooting straight at Yi Futian. They were not interested in a long fight, they just wanted to kill Yi Futian. Celestial light turned into a boundary and blocked the sky above. As that one finger fell, a divine light swept through the heavens. It was as if it had leveled the heavens. It was extremely fearsome to behold. The cultivators of the divine elephants were restrained by the great demon of the purple gold rat clan, and the situation seemed very unfavorable. In front of so many Renhuang, Yi Futian appeared weaker, and he could not withstand their attacks. At this moment, a suffocating power of mighty of the great path suddenly came from above, pressing down on everyone. Divine light fell straight down, and the faces of the cultivators from the Heavenly Mandate dynasty changed. They raised their heads and looked up at the sky. A gorgeous face appeared. This face was perfect, and in the vast Mandate heaven, such a face was difficult to find. But the majesty contained in those eyes could make people forget the shocking beauty of this face. Just a look was enough to make these Renhuang and demon emperors feel inexplicable coercion, and the fighting ceased in an instant. Her Majesty! In Brahmasky City, countless people worshipped the face above the sky, and many looked extremely moved, for they had now seen the Empress in person. If you want to be disorderly, get out of Brahmasky City. An extremely arrogant and icy voice came from above. It was authoritative and dominant, disallowing for any doubt. The fight stopped in an instant. The cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty looked grim. Brahma's pure heaven was also responsible for today's blunder, but the overlord was not there, so who would be eligible to talk with Her Majesty the Empress of Brahma's pure heaven? No one dared to question her. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Warriors of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty looked at the stunning solemn face and cupped their hands, saying, "We apologize for the offense. It's time to bid farewell." Warriors of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty looked at the stunning solemn face and cupped their hands, saying, "We apologize for the offense. It's time to bid farewell." Even though they were not happy about it, they couldn't say anything. Their status was not comparable to that of Brahma's pure sky, so they didn't dare to turn hostile against Brahma's pure sky. After all, it was about the political geography of the Heavenly Mandate realm, and no one could afford the consequences. After speaking, the warriors of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty restrained their life forces. Not only them, but warriors of other powers also restrained their life forces. No one dared to keep fighting. "We are sorry to disturb your majesty," warriors from Violet Heavenly Palace and other forces said. They all cupped their hands to bid farewell, and then they all flashed and left quickly. There was no need for them to stay any longer. Many warriors of Shangxiao Divine Palace stared at the Empress's face, their hearts troubled, but they didn't say anything and left with the warriors of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. Even though they came from the Shangxiao Divine Palace, the Empress of Brahma's Pure Sky was a big figure at the top of the Supreme Path realm. They belonged to the younger generation and dared not act presumptuously. They didn't have the capital to try, and even their elders were the same. In a blink of an eye, most people of top forces had left, but some warriors were still here, such as Yi Futian and others of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. Yi Futian gazed at the face in the void sky and didn't look away. He even wanted to ask something. The Empress seemed to be aware of it, and her majestic eyes glanced at him. Soon, she gradually dissipated and vanished. The might over the sky also dissipated, and soon the void sky restored its calmness from before. However, the war that just happened and the Empress's solemn appearance were still imprinted in the minds of countless people in the lower sky above the Brahma Sky City. Today's battle would surely spread throughout the Heavenly Mandate realm. Even Her Majesty had been shocked. Many people looked excited since this was the first time that they had seen Her Majesty's face. Even though they lived in Brahma Sky City, it was still very difficult to see Her Majesty, and Her Majesty rarely showed up in public. Usually, she either cultivated in the Brahma's pure sky or traveled in the 3,000 realms of the Great Path. After the Empress of Brahma's pure sky had left, Yi Futian didn't retract his gaze. He still stared into the void sky, and his deep eyes looked like he was lost in thought. After a long while, he took back his gaze and said to the Renhuang figures and demon emperors in front of him, with his hands cupped, "Thank you all very much, Your Majesties." During the battle that just happened, these Renhuang-level figures took the lead to protect him. Otherwise, no matter how strong he would be unable to cope with those Renhuang figures of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. "From now on you must be careful. The Heavenly Mandate Dynasty intends to kill you," a Renhuang figure of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven reminded Yi Futian. Just now, everyone could clearly tell that people of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty were trying to kill him. A tree outgrowing other trees in a forest was more likely to be destroyed. Yi Futian's relationship with Gu Donglu and his stance had already put him on the opposite side of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. In such a situation, killing him before he grew stronger was naturally the best and easiest choice for the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. When Yi Futian reached the Renhuang realm, if they wanted to kill Yi Futian at that time, they would need to use more manpower, and it would be much more difficult. "Thank you for reminding me, sir. I will be more cautious," Yi Futian said, nodding. He frowned slightly. This time, the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty had clear murderous intent, so from now on, they might try to assassinate him more frequently. Since they had done it once, they wouldn't care about doing it again, even at the risk of offending the Divine Elephant Clan. Yi Futian wondered if he should be proud or not. After all, this meant that the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty took him so seriously that they took such a big risk to get rid of him. "Let's go back too," said a warrior of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. "I still have something to do," Yi Futian said. He shook his head slightly. He turned his gaze and looked toward where people of Brahma's pure sky stood in the distance. Yi Futian took a step forward and walked towards the place where Xiantian Pavilion was. The Xiantian goddess looked at Yi Futian, who was walking towards her. A different look flashed in her eyes. "Yi Futian is here to salute you, goddess." Yi Futian stopped in front of Xiantian goddess and said, "What else do you want to ask?" The Xiantian goddess said coldly, as if she was dissatisfied with Yi Futian because of the previous events. "I want to ask again if Jeyu is in Brahma's pure sky." "Goddess, please don't conceal anything." Yi Futian bowed down and said sincerely. Jeyu appeared twice in his mind, and it should not have been an illusion just because he missed her so much. Moreover, all that had just happened made him realize that the thing was not very easy. Why did Brahma's pure sky want to choose a spiritual partner for Qin-He? Qin-He, as the first goddess of Brahma's pure sky, had an extraordinary status. Why would they force her? From the perspective of Brahma's pure sky, they didn't seem to want to join hands with the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. Also, what the Empress of Brahma's pure sky just did could be considered as helping him. He still felt that all these things were related to Jeyu. The Xiantian goddess looked at Yi Futian. Her eyes looked as calm as before, and there was no change in her gaze after hearing Yi Futian's words. Yi Futian's eyes looked extremely deep. When he asked the question, he fixed his eyes on the Xiantian goddess as if he wanted to capture something from her eyes, even if it was just a hint of emotional fluctuation. However, Xiantian goddess's eyes were so calm, revealing no change. It was as if she had just heard an unrelated name and some unrelated words. "What are you talking about?" Xiantian goddess said softly. Nobody would be suspicious of her indifferent tone. She still denied it. Yi Futian stared at her. Why didn't she have a look of suspicion? Xiantian goddess really knew nothing about it? He didn't believe it. "I boldly request to go to Brahma's pure sky to meet with Her Majesty," Yi Futian bowed and said. The Empress, undoubtedly, was the one who knew most about all these things. Last time, he didn't get any answers, but he still wanted to try it. "Her Majesty has no time to see you," Xiantian goddess said. "I don't mind what you have done today. Now go back." "I want to see Qin He," Yi Futian said again. "She has returned to Brahma's pure sky," Xiantian goddess said and left directly, ignoring Yi Futian. She just walked into the void sky and left with other goddesses of the Brahma's pure sky, leaving Yi Futian there, dazed. Qi Xiangang and Yaya came to Yi Futian's side. Qi Xiangang asked him, "What is on your mind?" "Master, I felt the presence of my wife twice during my cultivation, and both situations were related to Brahma's pure sky," Yi Futian looked at Qi Xiangang and said. A surprised look flashed across Qi Xuanggang's face. He had heard about this thing, and in Yi Futian's capacity, it was impossible for him to be wrong. Maybe she really was alive. "I want to go to Brahma's pure sky," Yi Futian said. "Then you should go," Qi Xiangang nodded and said. Since he had doubt, he should try hard to find the answer. Yi Futian nodded, and after bidding farewell to others, he walked away and headed in one direction. Some people came with him, some people left. Xia Qingyuan also followed him. Was Hua Jiyu really alive? At this moment, she had conflicting emotions, which made her somewhat hate herself. Why did she have inner conflicts, especially for her ruthless side? Brahma's pure sky was located to the north of the Brahma Sky City and was above all of Brahma Sky City. Standing at the foot of Brahma's pure sky, Yi Futian looked up at the mountain and the endless stairs in front of him. Clouds and mist were flying over his head, and in the clouds, a celestial city could be faintly seen. His body flashed, and he walked upward. Many warriors gazed at him along the way until Yi Futian came to the sky outside of the gate. A goddess stopped him and released warning might, glaring at him indifferently. She did not speak and did not need to say anything. Who didn't know that this was the heavenly gate of Brahma's pure sky? "Yi Futian is here requesting to see Her Majesty." Yi Futian looked up toward the heavenly gate and shouted loudly. He knew that, even though he was outside the Brahma's pure sky, the Empress of Brahma's pure sky claimed to be able to perceive everything in the 3,000 realms. Although she was not there, her mind could directly reach the sky above Xiantian Pavilion, so his voice must have been heard by the Empress of Brahma's pure sky. The goddess outside the heavenly gate showed surprise when hearing Yi Futian's name. Not long ago, Qin He had returned to Brahma's pure sky, and they heard something from her. Now, what was Yi Futian's purpose of coming to Brahma's pure sky? There was no response from Brahma's pure sky, and Yi Futian's voice seemed to be entering the land of nothingness. "Yi Futian requests to see Her Majesty," Yi Futian continued. However, there was still no sound. He said this, again and again, making the goddess outside heavenly gate frown. A lady stepped forward and said coldly, "Yi Futian, enough." Yi Futian's shouting had disturbed some people's cultivation. Some Renhuang figures' wills had swept down. Apparently, they had also heard of Yi Futian's voice. Yi Futian had perceived them too, but he still did not leave and continued shouting loudly. He wanted an answer. He needed to know whether Jiyu was here or not. However, it seemed that everyone would just ignore him. In the land of Brahma's pure sky full of clouds and mist, in front of a Fey palace, A person, who looked very thin, was kneeling on a futon. At this time, the sound of footsteps came. Qin He looked up and saw a figure in front of her. Qin He is here to meet Her Majesty. Qin He bowed her head and said. She wondered why the Empress wanted to see her, but no matter what punishment it was, she wouldn't care. The Empress stood there quietly, looking at Qin He. She was silent for a moment and then said, "From now on, you can cultivate with me." Qin He paused a second and looked up at the Empress, but the Empress had turned around and entered the Fey Palace, shrouded by mist. Qin He did not show much joy, and she was just a little confused. What was all of this about? The Empress of Brahma's pure sky stepped into the Fey Palace. There was another figure here in this fairyland, sitting quietly. She was also extremely beautiful, stunning like an immortal, and she seemed to be in the dormant state of cultivation. The Empress of Brahma's pure sky looked at her and said, "You disappointed me. If I knew, I would have chosen her, not you." The figure didn't seem to hear her and sat there quietly. She even ignored the Empress of the Brahma's pure sky when she talked to her. There would be no second person in Brahma's pure sky who dared to do so. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Still, Futian didn't get to see the Empress. He was ignored at the heavenly gate of Brahma's pure sky, and from time to time, some cultivators sent might to him as a sign of warning. Still, Futian didn't get to see the Empress. He was ignored at the heavenly gate of Brahma's pure sky, and from time to time, some cultivators sent might to him as a sign of warning. After a long while, he stopped shouting but just looked up at the heavenly gate. Now, no matter how outstanding his talent was, he was just a cultivator of Saint Plain and was not even qualified to talk to the Lady of Brahma's pure sky. Could he do anything to them even though they refused his request? There was nothing he could do. He could just stand outside the gate of Brahma's pure sky and watch. He didn't know what the cultivators of Brahma's pure sky would think of him. Is Jeyu in the Brahma's pure sky or not? Futian murmured to himself. It was like an enigma. If Jeyu had been here, she would have found him by herself, unless she was in trouble, so she showed up in his mind twice. Was she trying to tell him that she was still alive? Maybe he guessed it. However, if Jeyu was really in Brahma's pure sky, who was imprisoning her? Did the Lady of Brahma's pure sky do this? But why did Her Majesty trap Jeyu? He had asked people of Brahma's pure sky several times, including the Saintess, the Goddess, and the Empress, and whenever he asked, the answer given to him was the same. No one acknowledged the existence of Jeyu. At that time, Jeyu summoned a wisp of the Empress thought, but she was very weak at that time and not in the Holy Plane. If the Empress paid attention to her for this reason and brought her spiritual soul to the Brahma's pure sky, she didn't have to let Jeyu stay with her. Even though Jeyu, as a cultivator, had potential, she couldn't be more promising than those goddesses in Brahma's pure sky. They even didn't care about sacrificing the goddess Qin He, so would they care about Jeyu? He didn't understand and couldn't figure it out. Futian looked up at the heavenly gate of Brahma's pure sky and said loudly, "Your Majesty, please let me know if Jeyu is in Brahma's pure sky. I will come to visit again later if I have the chance." After these words, Futian turned around and walked away. Seen from behind, he looked quite lonely. Even though he knew Jeyu might be in Brahma's pure sky and wanted to go inside and take a look, he could not do it. He didn't have this feeling of powerlessness even when he confronted Tianyu and other people. Xia Qingyuan stood behind Futian and felt a little sad to see this lonesome figure walking ahead. However, Futian couldn't do anything, not to mention herself. Even if her father Emperor Xia had come here in person, the Brahma's pure sky wouldn't change their attitude either. This was the disparity between different areas. Emperor Xia was an emperor of a realm, but in the Supreme Path realm, he was not that important. She turned her head and took a cold glance at Brahma's pure sky. Although she had some inner conflict, she felt sad when she saw Futian like this. She also hoped that one day, Futian would be able to forcibly enter the heavenly gate, and no one would dare to stop him at that time. Many warriors from Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven and other forces turned around and also left with Futian. They went away and gradually disappeared into the distance from the Brahma's pure sky. There were still many divine thoughts sweeping down from the Brahma's pure sky, and all of them were withdrawn at this time. Many people knew nothing about it, and only a few people faintly knew some inside information, but perhaps only Her Majesty knew most about the details. Yi Futian and his companions left Brahma Sky City. Besides them, other top forces from elsewhere had also gradually left. The storm had finally come to an end, but the final outcome was unexpected. Yi Futian fought with Tianyu, but Qin He chose neither of them. In the end, this attempt to seek marriage was not successful, but the conflict between the Heavenly Mandate dynasty and Yi Futian was intensified, and the world witnessed the rise of another top figure. Yi Futian was another hero like Yi Tianyu and Gu Donglu, peerless and gallant. After this battle, people of Brahma Sky City regarded Yi Futian as a hero like Gu Donglu and Yi Tianyu, but unfortunately, Yi Futian was not of Nirvana Saint Plane in that battle. If he had been, people could tell from the battle between Yi Futian and Yi Tianyu which of them was stronger when Yi Futian had not used the bone of Divine Elephant Emperor of 10 Directions. In the Battle of Brahma Sky City, there was still some controversy since no one could say clearly how much enhancement the bone of Divine Elephant Emperor of 10 Directions had brought. Therefore, it could only be said that Yi Futian was also one of the top figures and stood alongside Yi Tianyu. However, there was still doubt as to who was the stronger one. After all, even when Yi Tianyu was injured in the battle, he still showed remarkable combat strength. Although Yi Futian went all out, he could not seriously hurt him, and it was only when his master joined forces with him that he gave Yi Tianyu a hard strike. Even so, their performance was still truly amazing. Gu Donglu and Yi Futian were brothers, and this generation of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven they represented had won over the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, plus they had Jiang Taichu, Hua Qingyun, and Yi Futian's brother Yusheng. Such a lineup was horrifying enough. In the future, the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven would have another heyday. If so, would the Heavenly Mandate dynasty be more stressed? In addition to the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, Shangxiao Divine Palace also regarded the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven as a serious threat and would never let them rise to the top of the Heavenly Mandate realm. Especially now, the strongest descendant of the Violet Heavenly Palace, the ultimate form of Great Path Zhan Yuan, had been proven to be incapable of defeating Yi Futian and Gu Donglu, so they could not afford to gamble on the future. When the news began to spread in the Heavenly Mandate realm, people of top forces all had returned. In the South Vast Heaven, above the Celestial Gate, Yi Futian was focusing on cultivation. At this moment, there was a fairy light flowing around him. A celestial soul condensed and was formed, resonating with the sky and earth. With the fairy light cleansing his body repeatedly, the power of the celestial path seemed to be merging into him. At this time, in addition to the fairy light, a dazzling golden aura flew around Yi Futian's body, just like the light of Renhuang. He stood up, waved his hand, and blasted out his fist. Each of his punches trembled the distant void sky and seemed to penetrate the space. Yi Futian repeated the movement again and again, and his body was coated with dazzling golden light. After a short while, he opened his eyes and murmured, "It's still wrong." After all, the cultivation of mystical ways could not be achieved overnight. At the highest level of celestial soul attraction, the celestial soul entered the cultivator's body. His physique would be strong as that of an immortal, and such a body was called the celestial form. Every move of the celestial form attack contained the might of immortal skills, which meant that each of his random attacks would incorporate the immortal spirit into it, and there was no need to deliberately control the immortal skills. It was the stage pursued by all warriors of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. In the heyday of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, the 12 immortals had all cultivated to such a level and owned forms of celestial paths. All of them were figures with outstanding talents in the cultivation of mystical ways. He was obviously still far behind and had not been able to reach this level. At this moment, there seemed to be a strong life force coming out. Yi Futian gave a different look since cultivators of the Celestial Gate generally did not create noise like this. He moved his gaze and looked toward one direction, where there were bright beams of imperial light rushing into the sky, extremely beautiful. They made the wind and clouds above the sky roar and caused storms of the great path. The storms of great path contained glorious aura, and the might of Renhuang erupted from it. The might of Renhuang, Futian thought to himself and looked surprised. Then, as if he had thought of something, his eyes suddenly became bright. Futian walked into the void sky directly toward that direction and seemed a little excited. And then he saw a figure rising up in the wind, shrouded with the aura of Renhuang, which made his figure even more magnificent. Master, Futian smiled and called. The person was Qi Xiangang. It was the first time he had seen someone enter the Renhuang level, and it was his master. When they fought to leave the Great Li dynasty, Qi Xiangang had already taken a half step into the Renhuang plane, and after that, he rose again from the collapse. After he was deprived of cultivation, he jumped to the top of Nirvana plane and was halfway toward Renhuang plane. After defeating the ninth servant, the city lord of the Crimson Dragon realm, he followed Futian into the Heavenly Mandate realm and cultivated for more than 2 years. Today, Qi Shuangong's cultivation had finally reached this stage. Nothing dramatic happened. It was as if it was just a matter of course, and he entered the Renhuang realm. Qi Shuangong's body rose up and landed in the sky above the celestial gate of vast heaven. His body appeared in the center of the storm of great path. In the sky above the celestial gate of vast heaven, clouds were tumbling. Many people in Futian City had noticed and looked up in the direction of celestial gate, but they were not too surprised. Although there were not many Renhuang figures in the celestial gate, usually, every few years, some people could set foot in the Renhuang plane, so people were not that surprised about it. But they didn't know who had entered the Renhuang plane this time. Many cultivators in Futian City smiled. First, there was Gu Donglu, and then Futian, and now another figure had entered the Renhuang plane. So many years after the celestial gate of vast heaven experienced destruction, its fortune once again prospered, and it was likely to usher in a glorious era again. Many people in Celestial Gate also paid attention to Qi Shuangong's entry to Renhuang Plain. Many cultivators believed in fortune. After being silent for so long, they could also feel that the Celestial Gate of vast heaven seemed to be surrounded by luck again. The sound of entering Renhuang Plain was far louder than entering Saint Plain. Although, when entering the Renhuang Plain, there was no catastrophe as there was in the Saint Plain, Renhuang needed time to cast the imperial body and soul. The scene in the void sky was appalling. After a long while, the situation returned to calm, and a figure slowly descended from the sky and landed on the celestial gate. Futian and others ran to him. Futian took the first step and called, smiling, Master. Master, Mu Chunyang and Lu Chuan also smiled and said, when they cultivated in the Great Li dynasty, they had never expected that Master would break into the legendary plane in such a short period of time. Renhuang, in realms like Great Li, was equal to the Lord of a realm. Congratulations! Many warriors at Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven also congratulated Qi Xiangang. Thank you very much. Qi Xianyuan smiled and bowed his head, then looked at Futian and other disciples. Things always happen like this. When he cultivated in the Great Li, he did not have a very strong obsession with achieving anything. Even later, after he experienced great changes, like Futian's incident, Emperor Li's suspicion, and being deprived of cultivation, he still had nothing to ask for and never thought about the later things. Not to mention entering the Renhuang Plain. However, excessive joy was of no need. Everything had its time, and even though he had not deliberately pursued it, now he had also set foot in the Renhuang Plain. It didn't mean anything. As Futian's stage became broader, the road they chose was getting harder. He did not know what would happen in the future and would not think about it. He would just wait and see. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. In front of a magnificent palace of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, there was a bright golden divine matrix. In front of a magnificent palace of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, there was a bright golden divine matrix. Over the sky dome, countless stars fell down. A map seemed to appear in the starry sky. There was a boundless area on the map, divided into 2 realms. Among these 2 realms, there were 10 locations that were the brightest and full of glares. Shimmering stars fell on that map, and below it, a figure sat in the matrix. Outside the field, there were several figures standing there, watching silently. At this time, the person in the matrix stared up at the sky, and in an instant, all the stars began to rotate, and countless stars continually flew in the vast land of 2 realms. Over the map, many marked coordinates flickered. They kept changing as time passed, just like the transition in history. There was a place where the starlight became extremely dim, as if it might become completely silent at any time. The scene made some people's eyes suddenly turn sharp, and a feeling of coldness flashed in their pupils. It seemed that the outside rumors were not true. Even though they had 2 extraordinary cultivators, nothing had changed. The starlight was still flowing, and they were waiting as if they were waiting for the dim starlight to disappear completely. However, after a long while, suddenly, countless beams of starlight converged towards the same place, which had already been dim, and as time went on, the place became brighter and brighter until the light overwhelmed everything, and dazzling divine light erupted from it. It even dazzled many people's eyes. In addition, there were several other places where the light was dazzling and some places where the starlight was dim. Suddenly, it seemed that they all became clear and distinct. How come? People outside frowned and murmured. The dazzling starlight gradually covered everything as if it would engulf the entire map. Finally, a clear sound came out, and the vortex of stars shattered. Countless glimmering stars flew around, and the map disappeared. The person in the matrix watched the disappearance of everything and frowned. Everyone's heart was slightly stirred. After a moment of silence, he stood up and turned around, looking at the people next to him, and sighed in his heart. "How is it, sir?" a majestic figure asked with an imposing bearing. He was the imperial lord of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. However, he called the man in the matrix Sir, which showed that the man's identity was also unusual. "Your Majesty has already seen it," said the figure. The imperial lord of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty, with a bit of indifference, said, "Sir, does the picture mean that the celestial gate of vast heaven would have great luck?" That person nodded slightly and sighed. "The celestial gate of vast heaven's fortune will greatly prosper and even absorb the Heavenly Mandate's fortune and outshine all other forces of the Heavenly Mandate realms." "How is this possible?" The imperial lord of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty looked emotionless. Of course, he did not want to accept such a result. Not only him, but others beside him also whispered at each other. Recently, there were rumors in the outside world that the celestial gate of vast heaven's fortune was prospering. The celestial gate of vast heaven had Jiang Taichu and Hua Qingyan, and now Gudonglu also came with Yi Futian. Besides, it was said recently that someone had just reached the Renhuang Plain. Although entering Renhuang Plain was not an important issue here, so many things that happened together started to get people's attention. Thus, the imperial lord paid a great price and invited the person with transcendent status from outside to observe the luck of Heavenly Mandate realm. However, what the person saw was actually the prosperity of the celestial gate of vast heaven, which was the same as the rumor from the outside world. Cultivators absorb the fortune of the sky and the earth and live with luck. Even though celestial gate of vast heaven has good fortune, we can still forcibly extinguish their qi and take away their luck, the imperial lord said. He suddenly resumed the domineering spirit. His voice was indifferent, and his tone was full of pride. He was the imperial lord of the Heavenly Mandate dynasty. Although he believed that fortune was important, he didn't have blind faith in it. As the saying went, men could win over heaven. That was to say, human beings could alter their destinies, and naturally, fortune could also be changed. Otherwise, how could human beings seize the fortune of sky and earth? "What do you think, sir?" the imperial lord asked, his voice still very polite. "Of course," the man nodded and said. "The art of fortune-telling is only a way of prediction, and it is not absolutely accurate. Between the sky and the earth, there are people who go against heaven. Their fortune is unpredictable, and they can change their own future. Fortune is changeable, and prophecies are just prophecies. They do not represent what would happen in the future. The results may be different if you predict during different time periods. Thank you, sir, the heavenly mandate Imperial Lord said and felt much relieved after hearing his words, and he made up his mind. In fact, he was very clear that although fortune could be changed, it was easy to adapt to the current trend and difficult to overcome the trend. Now, the good fortune was on the other side, and if they wanted to change it, they had to go against the trend, and it was not easy to achieve. He would not be blindly confident about it. Of course, even though it was difficult, he would still make every effort to do it. The inheritance of the heavenly mandate dynasty passed from generation to generation, and they used to be the king of the heavenly mandate dynasty in the past. Now it was in the current Imperial Lord's hands, so he would definitely not let it end here. If Celestial Gate of vast heaven had its heyday, it would be the end of the heavenly mandate dynasty. Not only did he understand it, but the person who predicted the fortune was clear about it too. What he foretold was the luck of the whole realm, which required a lot of energy to predict. The trend of the whole realm would be stable and unshakable, and even though it was easy to change a small pattern of it, it was extremely difficult to change the situation of the whole realm. The heavenly mandate dynasty wanted to go against the trend, which was not an easy thing. However, this was not a thing he needed to think about, and the heavenly mandate dynasty would do it by himself. Sir, how about my child's life? The Imperial Lord of heavenly mandate dynasty continued asking. Before, the person did not tell him. The transcendent figure looked at him and asked, "Do you really want to know the answer?" The Imperial Lord of heavenly mandate dynasty nodded and said with a solemn look, "My son Yi Tianyu has been gifted since he was a child. He was born with supreme power. I believe his fortune will be strong, and even if not, he could still change his life." "I can only say he lives in a wrong time," the person responded to him in these words and then cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, I should leave now." He turned around and walked away, disappearing in a moment, as if he had never been here. Living in the wrong time. The Imperial Lord of heavenly mandate dynasty stood there, looking ahead. His eyes constantly changed and he didn't look very well. His son Yi Tianyu was a rare genius, a peerless figure, born to be supreme. He would take over his throne and become the Imperial Lord of heavenly mandate dynasty in the future. However, that person claimed that Yi Tianyu was living in the wrong time. He couldn't help but think of Gu Donglu, Yi Futian, and all the rumors circulating today in the heavenly mandate realm. Everything seemed to match. But he didn't believe it. Even if Yi Tianyu lived in the wrong time, he would change his destiny. "Don't tell him about this," the Imperial Lord ordered. He was worried that this would affect Yi Tianyu's state of mind in cultivation, but after he said it, his expression froze on his face. He turned around and saw a person standing there quietly. This area was the very core of the heavenly mandate dynasty that few people could enter, so he was not on guard and didn't spread his thought. Before, he just focused on the fortune teller and didn't pay attention to the outside. Yi Tianyu suddenly showed up and had heard what he said just now. "Do you believe in fate, father?" Yi Tianyu asked the Imperial Lord. The Imperial Lord looked at Yi Tianyu's sharp eyes. Yi Tianyu continued, "I don't believe in my fate. It can be controlled only by myself, not by others." "Good," the Imperial Lord praised him. "My son is a rare genius. Even if you are trapped by the fortune of your life, you can go against heaven and change it. Why fear it? When will you go back to Shangxiao Divine Palace?" the Imperial Lord asked. "What do you mean, father?" Yi Tianyu asked. "You get ready and go back to cultivate in the Divine Palace. I hope you can set foot in the Renhuang Plain as soon as possible," the Imperial Lord said. Yi Tianyu paused a second and looked at his father in surprise, then nodded and said, "Yes, father." "Go to cultivate," the Imperial Lord said calmly. Yi Tianyu requested to leave and then left. "Your Majesty?" People around the Imperial Lord looked at him and whispered. Their eyes flashed with wonder, and they had all faintly guessed something. "Send someone to the Violet Heavenly Palace to inform him of what happened here today. Let him convene people of the Violet Heavenly Palace to discuss." The Imperial Lord looked forward and said, "Besides, send some people to the Demon Realm and meet the major demon clans, especially the Purple Gold Rat clan." "Aye, Your Majesty," they nodded and answered. They had all understood the intention of the Imperial Lord. Also, don't forget to send people to other forces in the Heavenly Mandate realm, the Imperial Lord of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty added. He then muttered, no one wants to see one force's fortune outshine everyone else. In the past, the reason that many major forces came to Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven was that Gu Tianxing of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven was too outstanding. Today, time had changed, and Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven had been silent for many years. No one expected that they could restore its vitality and once again own the good fortune. He didn't believe it. No matter how good their fortune was, just wipe it out, then how could they talk about luck? He didn't intend to take action so fast, but now, he could only do it as soon as possible. The sooner, the better. The threat should be stifled in the cradle, and he could not watch they grow stronger. It didn't take long for all the warriors from the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty to cross the space and head towards all parties of the Heavenly Mandate realm. At the same time, Yi Tianyu and the people of Shangxiao Divine Palace launched the Super Space Matrix in the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. They walked across the void space and left the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty. They would return to Shangxiao Divine Palace. The Imperial Lord of Heavenly Mandate Dynasty wanted to provoke a war and would not let Yi Tianyu stay here. After all, Yi Tianyu was only of the Saint Plane. Suddenly, the entire Heavenly Mandate realm seemed to be shrouded in a cloud of darkness. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Warriors sent by the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty had gradually arrived and informed all the forces of the Heavenly Mandate realm of what they'd seen about the fortune of Heavenly Mandate realm. Many forces of the Heavenly Mandate realm began to make plans, and some of them were about to take action. Warriors sent by the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty had gradually arrived and informed all the forces of the Heavenly Mandate realm of what they'd seen about the fortune of Heavenly Mandate realm. Many forces of the Heavenly Mandate realm began to make plans, and some of them were about to take action. The balance of the Heavenly Mandate realm had been maintained for many years. Especially after the battle between the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, the balance had reached the ideal status. The two strongest forces, the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, were both greatly weakened, and the world of human cultivators and the demon world also remained calm. This was a situation that all forces wanted to see. Therefore, it could be said that only the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven and the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty were the biggest losers of the battle. Because of this, a battle between peak forces was hard to break out when the strengths of all parties were balanced. Last time, when the two major forces, the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty and the Shangxiao Divine Palace, came to Futian City, a war still did not break out. But now, the balance that had lasted for many years seemed to be disturbed. And it had to be disturbed. If no one took the initiative to break it, according to the astrological prediction, in the future, the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven would seize the fortune of the Heavenly Mandate realm, become the most prosperous force, and restore its glory in Gu Tianxing's era. Maybe they would even surpass it. Violet Heavenly Palace was the one that least wanted to see this situation because it would be a disaster for them. Therefore, as soon as they received the message, the Violet Heavenly Palace immediately sent people to visit the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty to discuss the plans. After Brahma's Pure Sky got the news, they seemed very calm and didn't do anything. The same was true of the 10,000 Divine Mountain, perhaps because the Lord of the Jiang clan had made the commitment to them. In the demon world, the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty would definitely not go visit the Divine Elephant clan and the Dragon Gods clan because of Yi Futian and Yu Sheng. The Demon God Court was not very concerned either. However, the Purple Golden Rat clan and the Inzhao Mountain were excited about this, especially the Purple Golden Rat clan, which always had ambitions and wanted to ruin Gu Donglu. But if Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven restored its power to that of Gu Tianxing's era again, Gu Donglu would stand at the peak level. At that time, if they wanted to lay a finger on Gu Donglu, it would be an extremely difficult thing or even impossible. Now, the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty seemed to be ready to take action. The Purple Golden Rat Clan and Ingzhao Mountain both sent warriors to the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty to discuss plans. The frequent communication between the top forces of the human cultivation world and the supreme demon clans was not a usual thing, so it naturally attracted many people's attention. Soon the news could no longer be concealed, and it gradually spread in the Heavenly Mandate realm and soon passed to Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. In an instant, the whole Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven was shocked, and in Futian City, countless warriors felt a little uneasy. Many warriors gathered in front of the Celestial Gate and wanted to find out about it. If a war broke out, the consequences would be horrible. At this moment, below the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, countless warriors gathered. They looked towards the direction of Celestial Gate, and someone said, "I heard that inside the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty, there were spatial wills of great path rushing straight into the sky, and the cross-realm supreme teleportation matrix was launched. They must have sent Tianyu and other top young figures away, so they were already ready to take action." Indeed, after being silent for so many years, the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven finally has Gu Donglu and Yi Futian, who have shown peerless talent. Obviously, the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty begins to feel anxious. Although they have not yet reached the step of war, they have lost the patience to wait. Everyone had made their guess, and many people could see through the situation today. How should we Celestial Gate cope with this? Some people said, worrying about the Celestial Gate. Last time, those two major forces came here to suppress us, but Futian Celestial City was united as one and overcame it. Today it is the same, why should we fear the war? Someone said with indignation. However, the people around him shook their heads and said, this time is different. The Heavenly Mandate Dynasty wants to urge the entire Heavenly Mandate realm to be hostile to us Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven. I wonder if there will be other forces involved. If so, it is meaningless even for Futian City to participate in the war. This level of battle still largely depended on the strength of top cultivators. It seems that, as we have guessed, fortune is on the side of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, and now the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty is frightened. Many people nodded. The Heavenly Mandate Dynasty would do so only because they were afraid. They encouraged other forces to join them so that they could wipe out the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven and exterminate the threat. Once the war started, any kind of result might happen. In the past, Gu Tianxing and Heavenly Mandate Dynasty were good examples. No one could guarantee that warriors of the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty could safely retreat. Otherwise, they would not let Tianyu immediately return to Shangxiao Divine Palace. Apparently, they were worried about Tianyu's safety. Above the Celestial Gate, the misty pavilion halls were also shrouded by a faint depressive atmosphere. People of the Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven got the news earlier than the people of Futian City. At this time, in front of a palace hall of Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, many warriors gathered. All of them were elders of the Celestial Gate with unusual temperaments, and they were here to discuss the issue. In front of the palace hall, two figures stood there. They were lords of the Jiang clan and Hua clan. I assume you all have heard about the thing from outside. What do you think? The head of the Jiang clan asked. He wanted to ask what people had in mind and if they had any good ideas. Should we try to contact the Divine Elephant clan and the Dragon Gods clan to let them join us? Someone suggested. These two forces of the demon world were somehow related to Yi Futian. Two lords were silent and did not say anything, just watching these people. Today, countless cultivators were gathering in the Futian city outside the Celestial Gate. How about we? Another person said. Warriors expressed their thoughts, but two lords still looked nonchalant, as if they could frankly accept all this. At the beginning, when they took Gu Donglu back to Celestial Gate of Vast Heaven, they had expected that today would come. But you are dismissed. At this moment, the Lord of Jiang clan said. There was a strange look on everyone's face, but they still nodded and requested to leave. Soon, warriors of Celestial Gate all left, and only these two lords stayed. What do you think? The Lord of Jiang clan asked the Lord of Hua clan. The Lord of Hua clan shook his head and said, in this situation, I am afraid that we should not start a war. Not to mention, we may be defeated. Even if we can repel the enemies, how would other forces think of us? Gu Donglu and Yi Futian have just begun to show their talents. Then, the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty invited someone to tell the fortune of the Heavenly Mandate realm, which indicates that the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty indeed wants to kill the two of them first. I didn't expect it either, the Lord of Jiang clan sighed in a low voice. He hadn't expected that the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty invited such a powerful figure to tell their destiny. In this way, the uproar would happen much earlier than planned, and many of their ideas would be disrupted. Is the Matrix ready? The Lord of the Hua clan asked. The Lord of the Jiang clan nodded his head and said, in the past, Tianxing fought to the death and didn't reveal the truth until the last moment of his life. Now, so many years have passed and finally, this matrix can be used again. I don't know why, but I feel sad. If possible, I don't want to restart it in my whole life. As he talked, he looked toward the Lord of Hua clan and said, thank you for all the years of suffering. At that time, the three of us swore an oath to bring the Celestial Gate back to the top of the Heavenly Mandate realm. Now, the opportunity has come, the Lord of Hua clan smiled and said. It seemed that his state of mind was affected by the crisis. However, on the contrary, the Heavenly Mandate Dynasty was eager to destroy them, and the rumors they spread were enough to prove that the future of the Celestial Gate of vast heaven was very bright. If so, let us continue to live up to the promises of the past, the Lord of the Jiang clan said to Lord of the Hua clan with a smile. Sure, the Lord of Hua clan nodded and said. They smiled at each other as if, at this moment, they had returned to the time when they were both young. Let's go. They walked forward at the same time and directly crossed the void sky. With just one step, they came to the top of the Celestial Gate stairs and looked down toward the numerous warriors in the lower sky. Many people were stunned when they saw these two people's appearance. All warriors took a bow and said, we are here to salute you. Go back and focus on your cultivation, the Lord of Jiang clan said loudly, and his voice spread through the void sky. Everyone could hear it clearly. Go back. The warriors all froze. They did not understand. What did the Lord mean? At this time, the sound of footsteps came. Warriors of several top forces came, and the warriors who took the lead were from Wang Yanbing's family. The Lord of the Wang clan was at the forefront, and he looked up and said to people of the Celestial Gate, if we deploy all the powers of the Haotian city, we could afford the war. And gamble on people's lives and Haotian city's fortune? The Lord of Hua clan looked at the people and asked. Remember, the Celestial Gate of vast heaven is the Celestial Gate of Haotian city. Even if the Celestial Gate disappears, as long as Haotian city still exists, and there are cultivators left in the Haotian city, the Celestial Gate will last forever. Next, everyone, immediately go back and focus on cultivation. The Lord of Hua clan announced loudly. People were puzzled but still left. Just go. The Lord of the Jiang clan waved his hand and said. People hesitated and began to discuss, and some people started to leave. Gradually, more and more people began to leave. Warriors of the Wang clan walked up into the void sky and said, I still have some cultivation skills. Before, I always wanted to compete with you, but now it seems there is no need. Hearing what he said, the two lords also smiled. This was how warriors of the Celestial Gate should do, in the Celestial Gate style. I should go too. I have saved a bottle of old wine for this moment. Let's have a drink, the Lord of Hua clan said with a smile. The other two people nodded, then turned around and went back to the Celestial Gate. In the distance, Yi Futian and Qi Xiangang stood there quietly, looking at these figures with composure. Yi Futian also applauded for them secretly. They were figures with real composure and confidence. Master, Yi Futian looked at Master Qi Xiangang beside him and called. Master had been able to roughly foretell one's fate, and now he had entered the Renhuang Plain. Was he also able to see through all this? Just let it be. Qi Xiangang patted Yi Futian's shoulder and said. Yi Futian and Gu Donglu were both people with great fortune. Although the Celestial Gate of vast heaven would go into crisis, it would also be reborn. Yi Futian watched Master walking away, speechless. The war was coming, but they were all so calm. He shook his head and also walked away. However, a few days later, Haotian City would be shrouded in an atmosphere of horror. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.